Chicago too. Um, she's always had a alcohol problem, and it's like as far as I can remember, my mom would my mom and my dad would always fight, and she would always get kicked out, right? And so as the youngest child, like when the police would come, they would say like, "Where are you gonna go? Who do you want to go with, your mom or your dad?" And I was always scared to stay with my dad because I just seen him beat the shit out of my mom. So I would always go with my mom, and so from there, like this is like when I was just a little kid, I can remember that we were always like in homeless shelters, in different homeless shelters, all the time, and like throughout Chicago, and I remember really clearly going to one shelter and like having this faith in my mom, like, oh, everything's gonna be all right now, you're gonna get your life together, and we're gonna have a normal life, I'm gonna have a house and stuff like that. And she would always go back to drinking, while she's in the shelter, and we would get kicked out, and then we'd be at the next shelter. And I don't know if you've ever seen those movies, like when people would stand in lines to stay in those one-night shelters, and like that was me when I was like a little kid with my mom trying to get into these shelters just overnight, and like throughout for years and years. So anyways, when I was about hey JP, you're late. When I was about 12 or 13, my mom got accepted to got like a housing acceptance on the reservation, which was 6 hours north of Chicago, and so it was like adequate housing, low income housing, and usually you have to be on a waiting list on the reservation for a long time to get those types of housing, and so she finally was able to do that, and so I moved with my mom, and a lot of my siblings stayed in Chicago, and I think when I lived in Chicago, I had a lot of different friends, and I experimented a little bit with alcohol, but it didn't really intensify until I moved to the reservation, and I remember taking a drink of beer when I was like 12 years old at a cookout with my mom was having with somewhere where we lived, and I spit it out, and I was like, ugh, how come they drink this crap, like, how come they love this stuff? It tastes so gross. And yeah, later on, I loved it. Anyways, so I moved to the reservation, and from there, it was a lot. It seemed like it was a lot similar to Chicago, where it was really like just a not positive environment, and it was different, but it was really similar in a sense that there was people I didn't in my family and where I was surrounded, people weren't education wasn't important, and cultural things wasn't important, and the only thing that was important growing up or being on the reservation that I seen was getting drunk, and getting drunk like every day, and so I was around 12 or 13, and when we moved, and my mom, she was still really heavy in her addiction, and she was gone most of the time from this house that we had, and so that's when I really started to drink and to use drugs, and I remember the first time I got drunk was off a bottle of liquor with one of my friends. I was around 13, and somewhere back in the woods, and so that's sorry, I'm nervous. I don't know. There's a lot to say about I don't really want to get into like a lot of the stories of like how many times I got drunk, and I guess the big picture of it was that I didn't know any other way, really, and when I was around 15 or 16, I started to realize that addiction to drugs and that addiction to alcohol has been a part of my life ever since I was born. And by the time I was 16, I went to like 2 different treatment centers from overdosing off of pills, and I've been to a different boot camps for several months and different juvenile centers, and I was starting to get the idea or that reality that, like, damn, my life is gonna go nowhere if I keep doing this. And every time I start drinking and using drugs and trying to hang out with like my so-called friends, that life just gets harder. And at that point, when I was like 15 to 16, I kept on saying, like, well, my life has been like this, since day one. It's always been like hard. It's always been miserable. Like, why the hell am I gonna keep on making these choices, knowing that it's just gonna keep spiraling, downward or staying in the same area? And so I tried hard when I was like 15 or 16. I tried to stay sober as much as I could, and I was trying to get into different things, different positive things on the reservation that would serve like as a foundation for like my development. But it was really hard on the reservation, especially like going to something after school that had a positive influence on me, and then going right back home to my brother's drinking and my mom drinking, and so it was really hard to keep on that track. And I would always eventually stay sober for a few months and then fall off and be back with the same crowd doing the same things. It's Glenn. So when I was 17 years old, I just got out of another boot camp that I got sent to in Madison, which was for 6 months, and I earned my GED because I dropped out of high school like in my sophomore year, and so I earned my GED at this boot camp that I went to in Madison, and my aspiration, my big dream was to join the Marines and be a Marine and do something from there. And so I was 17, and I had all the signatures from my mom to enlist early. And I remember I was down in Madison or in Milwaukee, and going through the last stages of being enlisted, and they denied me because of my juvenile record, because I got into so much trouble as a kid. And so since that that wasn't an option anymore, I kind of didn't know what to do. And but the one thing that I did do a lot was I sold drugs on the reservation, and so I started getting more back into that. And I was on the reservation. I would sell drugs to take care of myself, and to support my habit of the drugs, of different pills that are pretty expensive to fuel my addiction. And so that was a solution. And when I was 17, I got caught. I got caught for selling drugs, and I was convicted of 2 counts, felony counts. And I went to jail in Vilas County, and when I got out of jail, I said, man, like, I need to get off this reservation, because so ever since I was 16, I was always trying to do something positive or trying to get my life somewhere. And so at that point, I was kind of like, man, maybe it's this reservation. Maybe it's just there's a lack of opportunity here. There's a lack of support here, and so I moved. When I got out of jail, I moved to Green Bay when I was 17. And my oldest brother, had lived here, and so I got like my probation sent to Green Bay. And when I moved here to Green Bay, I was doing it wasn't the reservation. It was me, because I was doing the same exact stuff that I was doing on the reservation, and getting into trouble here, and hanging around with like the wrong crowd, and selling drugs here, and just really. But then it got worse, because I didn't really know anybody in Green Bay. I didn't have any family, and and there was times when, you know, it was just really like lonely more than anything, especially, you know, my brother, he was doing the same things that I was doing, and so he would be in jail most of the time, and I'd be in Green Bay, you know, kind of trying to fend for myself, and so it was really it was hard, and so I moved to, when I was like 18 or 19, I moved to Chicago for a while, and I was trying to like come off these drugs, and at that time I was pretty bad into heroin at that time, and I started off with like just Oxycontins and stuff, and then, you know, it progressed pretty fast into like addiction of heroin, and or either drinking, and this was on an everyday basis for years, and so when I moved to Chicago, I kind of well, I said to myself, I was laying on my cousin's basement, and I was just saying, like, man, what am I gonna do? Like, I think I was like 18 or 19 at the time. I was like, I really don't have anybody to take care of me. You know, I can't rely on my mom. I can't rely on my dad, on any of my brothers. You know, who do I really have? As you know, the only person I have is myself, and I need to have some sort of faith in, you know, in a higher power or a creator to start taking care of me, because, you know, I have no other options. You know, am I just gonna live on the streets? And so from there, I kind of I went through like a detox in my cousin's basement, which is probably not the safest thing to do, but man, I remember sleeping in that basement for like a week straight, and just sweating, shaking, and just going through all the tremors and nightmares, and it was a little over a week, and I stayed in that basement, and then finally when, you know, it kind of kicked it, I said, man, now I need to go to a meeting right away. You know, I need to start finding some sort of support, and I knew this Native guy down in Chicago who was the head of an ironworking program that I went to when I was 18 years old, and he was in like Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, and so I called him right away and I told him what was going on, and he came and picked me up, and from there I was just going to meetings every day. I used to take the bus a lot, and I used to have this little map, this AA directory of where the meetings are at. And in Chicago, there's like 50 meetings in a day. It's pretty cool. So sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll have that directory in my pocket, and a bus pass in the other pocket, and I'll just be gone all day going to meetings. And I was really blessed, because my cousin Junior, where I was staying in his basement, he still is a really positive role model in my life, and he told me, he said, man, as long as you're trying to do something and you're staying sober and you're going to meetings or whatever, he said, you can stay with me as long as you want, and, you know, I'll buy you food and whatever you need, you know. And he's like 6 years older than me, and so it was really a blessing that I was able to you know, to start being sober there, and so eventually I was going to all these meetings, and I got a sponsor at one of my meetings, and me and him were on a train one time, and he asked me if I wanted to go to a group with him, which wasn't AA, it was like a men's group, and so I had no idea what I was in for, and I was like, yeah, sure. So we got off the train somewhere downtown, and we went to this group, and it was such a, like, I remember the day walking into that group. It was upstairs in this really nice neighborhood downtown, and this circle of men, and who were just the most honest group of men that I've ever seen, the most real group of men that I've ever seen. And, you know, before that, I went to jail a lot of times, and seeing, you know, people on the reservation in Chicago, you know, what a man is supposed to be, you know, not supposed to cry, and not supposed to have feelings, and just different things like that, you know, like the stereotypical macho man. and so this group, it really redefined that concept of a man, and it was something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted that type of role model, that type of influence in my life, and so it was really cool. The group was it was through the Mankind Project, and it has nothing to do with like Alcoholics Anonymous. It was more of a like to sit in this group and get real with ourselves, and to get real about myself, and to really put everything on the table, and to have people, not kind of like evaluate it, or to help me dig deeper into that problem, so I could get it out and put it in front of the table, and to start to grow and develop as a mature man. And so it was really cool, and so that that's something that I wanted to stick with. And so when I was in Chicago for a couple months, and still going to meetings and these MKP meetings, and just really trying my best to stay away from the drugs and alcohol. And my probation officer calls from Green Bay, and he says, we know you're in Chicago, and he says, you got to come back to Green Bay right away, or else we're gonna come down there and we're gonna put you in jail. So I'm trying to explain to him, like, man, I got nowhere to go in Green Bay. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm doing really well here in Chicago. I have a great foundation, and I have a place to stay, and I'm doing these things. And he said it doesn't matter, And so I had to leave right away. And I had a duffel bag, and I got on the Greyhound, and I went to Green Bay, and I had to stay at the homeless shelter on on Broadway and somewhere out there on the new homeless shelter center. So I was like 19, and I checked myself in there, and it was, I don't know, it was I had to. I was like a couple months sober at the time, and I had to make the best out of the situation. And I kind of figured, like, there's no point of, feeling sorry for myself, or I put myself in this situation basically, and I was really grateful to at least have a place to stay, and so honestly, like, man, that was, it was the best time of my life. It really was, because I learned so much in that shelter. And I had a lot of time to reflect on, on the things that I wanted to do in my life. And like I said before, like, I grew up in these homeless shelters, and here I was again at 19 in a homeless shelter, but this time without my mom. And so it was just really, like, ironic, I guess. But it was, I learned a lot. Like, I learned a lot, standing in line, waiting for food, and seeing people that I used to know, knowing that I was in the shelter, and that my life was in the pits, and but it was really humbling more than anything, and I tried my best to have a positive attitude about the entire situation, and I did, and I did. I woke up happy, and I prayed a lot, and I said thank you for allowing me to stay here, and so it was a good experience, and at the shelter, I decided again, like, man, like, okay, now I'm here, and I'm starting to move my feet a little bit, and now I need to do something. Now I need to stay busy. I need to find something to do, and it was summertime in 2009. And I enrolled at College of Menominee Nation for a summer course, just for one class, an environmental science class. And I would take my bike. I had a bike, and I would take my bike from the shelter and get on the bus and get dropped off somewhere close to CMN, and go back and forth to CMN from the shelter and back on a bicycle. And it'd be like raining or whatever, cold and dark, or I don't know, whatever it took. I would try to go to school as much as I can, just to, because I knew if I didn't do something, I would fall back into that. And so I went to environmental science class, and it was a couple times a week. And I think a big thing that really happened that like sparked this like an educational journey that I'm on now is one day a professor, his name is Kurt Goodwill, and I think he's from the Menominee Nation. He gave me one of my papers back to an assignment in environmental science, and he said to me, he said, "Wow, Clinton," he said, "that your writing is going to get you to grad school someday," and like, man, almost like I didn't know how to react to that, you know. It's like no one has, you know, people in grade school used to tell me that I wasn't going to make it in grade school. People in high school, like my teachers, would tell me that I wasn't going to make it in high school, and you know, here I was, you know, trying to stay sober and living in a homeless shelter, and this guy, you know, he said that I was going to make it to grad school, and so it was that was really, I think, the only thing that I really needed was that support, and that support from people, from positive people that I can look up to, and people to say, you know, wow, you can do that, you can do this, and I never got that in my family, and I never got that on the reservation, and I never got that growing up in Chicago, and I first started to get that here in Green Bay, and at the College of Menominee Nation, and so it was really cool, and my expectation for enrolling at CMN was just to do one semester, and then just to stay busy, and then find something else to do. I never expected to be here at UWGB, and so I finished the course, and so, you know, the faculty and the teachers at CMN, you know, seeing the effort that I put, and they told me to enroll full time in the fall semester, and so I did, and there was an opportunity that came up to apply for with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission was offering a fellowship with for leaders in science, technology, engineering, and math, and it was based off of a test, and so I took that test, and I did really well in it, and I applied for that program through College of Menominee Nation, and I got accepted. Oh, she's one of my STEM scholars, and so yeah, I got accepted, and from there I had, you know, a lot more opportunities opened up, and I was able to like get an apartment, pay my rent, and get out of the shelter, and do stuff like that, and that STEM leadership program really too was a great thing, because it was, a lot of it was like support and people, and like, you know, we got to work together, and we were required to apply for internships. We were required to apply for internships and go to these national conferences that were based around the sciences, and my first internship that I went to, which is in Portland, Oregon. It was in Portland, Oregon, and I was on an elevator, and this is like, I'm still like my first year sober, and I'm kind of like still trying to get into the swing of things, and here I was at this, it was ACES, American Indian Science Engineering Society. Here I was at this like huge conference in Portland, Oregon, with all these professionals and stuff like that, and I woke up and I was in an elevator, and I seen the sign for a free breakfast in the elevator, and so I was like, hell yeah! So I was gonna go get that free breakfast, and so I pressed the button and I went upstairs, and it was like it was this conference room, and you know, anybody was welcome, and I sat down at this table, and I was all dressed up, and I was ready to go to the conference, and so we're eating, and I happened to be sitting next to this director of an internship program out of University of Minneapolis, and like, we weren't even talking about the internship, and we were kind of just, you know, more on a personal level talking, and so I must have made like an impression on her, and she told me to apply for her internship, and so that following summer, I went to I did an internship in University of Minneapolis, and I went for 5 weeks to Louisiana State University to study sediment deposition on the Wax Lake Delta, and so still, you know, things were like happening really fast, and it it was all because I wasn't drinking and I wasn't using drugs. And I think a lot of it too was that I was away from my family, and that may sound like a horrible thing, but I always think about that even now. Like, you know, a lot of this probably has to do that I'm not around my family, who, you know, who are still very active in drugs and alcohol. And so from CMN, I did another internship in Costa Rica, which really helped develop, you know, where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And the more and more I stuck to school and you know, and took advantage of different opportunities, the more I got to be like, wow, you know, I can actually, I started believing in myself, really. I started believing in myself that, wow, like, you know, education is really, like, it's feasible. You know, I could go to a grad school, I could go to a law school, or I could basically do whatever the hell I want, really, as long as I believe in myself. And so, so it's really cool. Like, my eyes are really opening, and so I graduated at College of Menominee Nation with like academic honors, and I did a lot of different stuff with CMN, and helped with a lot of different functions there, and and so then I transitioned to university, to UWGB, and it was really scary. Like, I was terrified. I had no idea like what I was in for, and I honestly when the orientation, there was orientation one day, and I was driving from Oneida to come to orientation for UWGB, and I couldn't turn into the driveway, the entrance. I couldn't do it. I just kept going, and I pulled over, and I just started to cry. And I cried for like a half hour, and I just said, you know, what the hell am I doing? Like, man, like, how did I get here? Like, and everything happened like so fast. Like, you know, here I was just a couple years ago, like, you know, like addicted to heroin, you know, with no hope, for nothing, didn't care about shit. And now I was, you know, trying to get a you know, going for a bachelor's degree, and which, you know, nobody that I've ever knew growing up has ever done, and that, you know, was out of the question for someone, you know, who is in a situation like mine. And so so it was really cool. And so I guess to elaborate more on like the situation in Green Bay, it was you know, it wasn't like as easy as I said it was, you know, like going through the couple years at CMN and to the point where I'm at now. And a lot of it was from support of other people, and a lot of it was from, I think more than anything, like I kind of always had this like theory in my mind that like everybody is destined their own path. Everybody has a certain path that they're supposed to walk, and I always kept that in mind. You know, like if people try to like put their religion on me or whatever it is, I always respect that. But I know that I'm, you know, I have my own destination that was already planned out for me. And so I always say, like, if someone if you want to believe like that your higher power is like a rock or something, then, you know, that's okay. I'll you know, I accept that. You know, that's your particular path that you're supposed to be on. And so so yeah, and so here at Green Bay, I really I started to get into like a lot of I feel like I was adopted by the different nations in Green Bay, which is Menominee and Oneida, and I know there's Potawatomi, but you guys never accepted me. I really, like, I extended my hand, and I asked people to support me and to help me, and it was really cool because, you know, even though I say that I don't have family here in Green Bay, and that you know my family is all over the place besides Green Bay, and that I'm alone here, I'm really not. You know, I have an awesome, like, great family here in Green Bay, and I found one of the Mankind Project group here in Green Bay, the groups I used to go to in Chicago, and a great AA group that AA family that you know, I don't attend as much groups as I used to, but a great AA family, and then I do like different like sweat lodges. I try to do sweat lodges as much as I can, and with other people too. You know, I don't like stick to one sweat lodge, and I try to do as different ones as I can. And it was yeah, and I guess another influential factor was a woman that really took me in. Katerina, her name's Katerina Joseph, but she kind of serves as like my adopted mom, being here in Green Bay, and it's really cool because like even now, you know, I'm kind of, you know, if I'm having a hard time or if I need something or I need a ride or something, she can come get me. And it's just, it seems like everything worked out as it was supposed to be by me coming here to Green Bay, and so yeah, I don't know what else I could say. Did I miss anything?
Your daughter.
Oh shit, man, yeah. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. It seems it's weird because like I've been through the Mankind Project and through like different work through AA groups and through the different teachings of the lodge and the other ceremonies that I go to. You know, it really all hasn't been about staying sober. It's really been about like me growing as a person and ultimately serving people and being happy and doing things for other people. And so you know, I could go on for days about the different stages each month that I go through and how I grow and how I've been developing. But I guess one important thing is that I so I'm gonna go through this really. I chose a woman to be in my life that kind of was similar to my mother, you know, like how I perceived my mother as I was a kid, and so which wasn't really the right choice, but you know, I had a daughter with this woman, and so my daughter, she's like a year and a half now, and we're not together, but over the past year I've really struggled, you know, trying to let go of that relationship, and it's cool because it's even though I struggle, and like I've struggled a lot as a kid and I struggle now, but like it's always in different areas of my life, and what I really learned from that relationship is that for one, I was trying to attract a woman that was like my mom, which was ultimately I really wanted that life back, that chaos and that addiction and all of that came with it. I really wanted all of that back, and I was attracting that back into my life. And so it was I didn't understand that when the relationship ended, but you know, as I worked through it, and I could clearly see that now, and truly grateful that, you know, I'm out of that relationship, and now I have another teaching factor in my life, which is my daughter, and who's a year and a half, and you know, each time that I spend with her, you know, I always learn new things about myself and about how I react with people, and I guess ultimately really about love, and that I need to open up more, and I just need to show people my heart as I do with my daughter, and she really teaches me that a lot, and so I'm really grateful to have her in my life. But I guess kind of what I wanted to say really is that that I know I'm always going to be an addict, and I know that if I go back to drinking or using drugs, that I'm going to be in the same situation that I was, you know, 4 years ago now. And so the things that I do in my life to keep moving forward is staying connected to the culture, staying connected to I don't know if you guys seen that flyer, but it was like a sage thing. Staying connected to the different medicines, staying connected to positive people. I need to have positive people in my life. I need to keep these people in my life so that they can encourage me, so that they can say, yeah, Clinton, you can do it, you can do this, you can do that, because otherwise I'm not going to have any faith in myself. And I need to have my daughter around. I need to have her around. just need these different things so I could keep on growing and get to where I'm trying to go. So as of that, I guess like I don't I don't really have any like projections on, you know, like future outcomes, but kind of living it day by day. And I hope to go to a grad school. I plan on applying to a grad school or a law school, and which would be another step. And I'm sure I'll probably be like crying somewhere, trying to like go into orientation or something. But yeah, I know now that I can do it. And that, you know, basically, you know, really anything's possible. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming. I don't know if you have any questions or thanks for listening.
Who spoke at your graduation at CMN?
Oh, I was the commencement speaker at my graduation at College of Menominee. Yeah.
Big shot.
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
Well, I'm a junior. I have another two semesters. But, I don't know if I'm a senior or a junior. I have 2 semesters. That's huh? I don't know. Yeah. Huh?
I said, you're alright.
Yeah.
So are you still studying background science?
No, I kind of well through the different internships that I went to, I learned that I was better at speaking, and I was better at putting projects together and doing research. And so I switched. My major here is environmental policy, and so I don't know if I really want to get into the sciences as much as I did my first 2 years of college. But, yeah. Any other questions? Thanks for listening.